One, two, three. Sounds good. Is it good? I think so.
All right, let's go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا نبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So I was gonna conduct the session based off who's sitting in front of me, and we'll make this as interactive as possible. And maqamat, who knows what maqamat are? Raise your hand. Who doesn't know? Doesn't know. Okay. So let's say 50-50. So maqamat are essentially a really advanced component of recitation. So in order to make this something that everyone can take benefit from, that's what I'm trying to do. So maqamat are essentially melodies in which the Quran is recited in. Now, there's no requirement that, okay, now when I sit and I recite the Quran, it needs to be like this, it needs to be this melody. Perhaps you guys have seen videos, maybe in the last 5, 6, 7 years, maqamat have become more pronounced and many people talk about it. And you may be like, oh, wait, I don't know this. I have to recite like this. No, you don't have to. You recite the Quran in the way which comes to your heart the moment you open the Mus'haf. That is my advice. In fact, I was looking at some videos. The early reciters from Egypt did not know the maqamat in the way we look at it today. Like, for example, there's 7 main melodies, and you mix these 7 with the other one. So if you mix one with another one, you have how many? You have basically 49 different combinations, which are called ajnas. And it can be very overwhelming. I don't even know them. Sometimes I may recite them, but I don't sit and analyze them from a musical perspective. And that's what it is. It's basically melodies that come from traditional Arabic music. Now, I say this very lightly, but some, and this is like how the Quran has been recited for decades, centuries. Um, but the early reciters like Abdul Basit, Manshawi, Mustafa Ismail, they did not recite the Quran. Okay, I'm gonna now sit, recite maqam X for 10 minutes, and then switch to this maqam. They didn't look at it as this analytical thing like we do now today. Now you have people that come and say, okay, you recite like this, and then they make it look like a science. And I get where they're coming from. It's a good learning tool, but what often gets lost, people focus on the voice. Oh, let me recite beautifully. Let me recite with good tune. And the correct recitation goes out the window. They spend more time focusing on melody, and that's problematic in many. That's not just my interpretation, but even the reciters from Egypt. And I go back to Egypt because that's like your golden tradition, culture, recitation of Quran. So I say that I wanted to start with that so you guys don't feel overwhelmed because I want to recite these melodies and give you guys some insight, and some of you may be able to pick it up quickly and some may not. And this goes back to how sharp, or really what they say, a musical ear that you have. For example, kids often they hear a tune or a little chime or something and they hum it, and they're like, oh, where'd you learn that from? So some people just have a sharper ear and they could pick up tunes like this. Other people have to listen maybe 3-4 times and they're like, oh, okay, something. So that's one side of things. The other thing, which kind of goes parallel with maqamat, is voice, and there's different. Who's seen musical notes, like the whole lines, do, re, mi, fa, sol, all that. So these maqams sit in these lines. Now I couldn't tell you. I mean, I took music or singing class in middle school, but maybe some of you, a good portion maybe may have, but I couldn't tell you how these sit because I don't do that. The way I've learned maqamat, yes, early on, I would, once I learned the different maqams, I would go and find segments of recitation on YouTube. Back in the day, this is like, now there's plenty of material, but let's say 15 or so years ago, I would go on forums to find stuff. It wasn't as readily available. And I would find Fulan reciter that recites in this maqam. Okay, well, now I know what this sounds like. Or this maqam. But the best way to pick this up is simply just by listening. Recitations. And it depends what you're trying to achieve. Are you trying to recite to beautify your own recitation at home or in the masjid for your own sake? Are you trying to better your recitation so you come here to recite in front of public? So it's different levels to this. But the most important thing that comes back to is listening. Listening for hours and hours. It's like a painter who decides to paint something. Anything that they paint, the inspiration comes from somewhere. They've seen nature, they've seen something that brings this back to them. And recitation of Quran is the same way. When I sit and recite, I'm reciting based on what I've heard. But the best way to learn, now let's get more technical. There's two styles of recitations, tahqiq and tadweer. Tahqiq is the slow recitation. For example, like this, like so. Usually start really slow. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أنت على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. So this is tahqiq. The idea for this recitation is to elongate the passage and illustrate the melody in a more slow way as a presentable. Usually when this recitation is done, people are sitting and they're listening in a funeral, and there's much more voice involved. You have to spend a lot of voice and melody. So in that one verse of Surah Insan, you need to make sure the melody fits nicely and there's no... If I go off, if you go off tone, it'll be very noticeable. Even to the untrained ear, they're like, oh, that sounded off. Like, so voice comes into play. Compared to a recitation which is tadweer, which is a faster one, which is often you hear in prayer when they're doing the recitation of Quran for the juz in the masjids, the Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Nabawi, like this. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. The idea for this is to quickly get to the next verse and continue. There's even a faster one called Hadr. That even goes faster, where they're really trying to complete the juz and chapter. But we're not going to focus on that because that's not really used in this context. So, in other names, tabtil or murattal, these are all the fast ones. Mujawwad or tajweed is the more slower one. And so you have these two style recitations. Now, if I'm going to focus on the more slower one, I then go ahead and listen to recitations of your golden era Qurra from Egypt. Minshawi, Abdul Basit, Mustafa Ismail. And these are usually 30, 40, 50 minute long recitations. And if I want to get an understanding of maqamat, I listen to this whole recitation again and again and again, and I have the mushaf open in front of me, and I see, okay, this is how he started. He's shifting to a different verse, to a different melody. Where is that happening? How does he end off? Like, you're looking at everything he does, breaking it down word by word. And the best way to imitate, let's say for example, a famous recitation of Minshawi Surah Hashr, which is pretty common. You listen to the first 5 minutes, make sure and then you imitate it, and record yourself. And you make sure the first 5 minutes sound exactly like his first 5 minutes. Once that's good, okay, now we can move on to the next 5 minutes. Because there's no way you can pick up a 50-minute recitation just by listening to it. And then, yes, you could listen to it in the car again and again, and you'll get bits of it, but it's not a practical way to understand the structure of this recitation. As an early reciter, someone who's just starting out, you can't just know the different maqams. Okay, no, you don't have a good basis, a foundation of how a recitation is structured. For example, our recitation, you start with bayati, and I'll get to those, the melodies. Bayati, ras, and there's two ways to like raise your voice that go higher. And that's another thing. Tone. Where you start off, for example, the way you start off affects your recitation, depending on what vocal ability that you have as a reciter. For example, which is why reciters start off really low. And so to put this into practice, ideally you start off like, I'm gonna really simplify this as much as possible, but like هل أنت yeah, we'll start up. هل أنت على that's a little I'm starting. Now that's a bit too high, because what's gonna happen as I keep going up, later on when I'm gonna hit that high note, I'm gonna struggle, and then I'm doomed in a way, because it's like, then I'm doing damage control. How do I get out of that so I can put my voice in a place where it's comfortable, where I feel comfortable? For example, yeah, so like ideally هل أنت على الإنسان and then slowly build up, so I can, like it's very easy to hit a high note in a vacuum, as in I'm gonna just recite it, but then to put that segment where I go high in a recitation, you need to be in the right in the right vocal place. Am I making sense? So if you're not there vocally, if you, and that happens often, and that's when it comes back to musical ear. Like when I go up and begin to recite, mentally I'm keeping that note in my head. Sometimes I miss it, or I keep it, but as I'm making my way, I go too high, and then it's like, it's your inside your head as a reciter. There's so many things going on. I need to recite the Quran properly. I need to keep the melody correct. I need to keep my breath going. What's the fourth one? Sure, voice. My voice needs to cooperate. If the voice is not there, you're gonna, it'll be very difficult to transition from melodies. So these are just some things that to preface or little footnotes of recitation. Yeah. If you start like, if I start like this, if I start my recitation at هل أنت على my beginning هل أنت على الإنسان الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Okay. The melody is complete, so that's another thing. That first segment, the end word of a verse is called qafla. That one even when I recite fast, I pick a maqam, I end up going to Nahawan. Like I just keep, it just becomes my base. Unless I do something else. Yes. Nahawan. Yeah, yeah.
You can also do like before you recite, like hum it, like hum the tune.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
And I think Hajj.
Yeah.
Is there a particular maqam that you select for certain events? Like for instance, if you have to, like, I don't know, if the site for like a certain event, would you pick one specifically, or is it just kind of like free balling?
There's two, so for a slower recitation, there's we say two methods to hit your high notes, or two ways. Bayati, you start, you either go continue bayati and bayati jawab. So different levels of melodies. You have qara, which is your bass, jawab mid, and jawab jawab, so even higher. So bayati, then bayati, keep going with bayati, and then you hit jawab, and then you could usually Nahawand or Hijaz, Nahawand, and then you finish. Or if you don't go that way, then you start Bayati, then you go to Rast. For Rast, you go to Sikka, and you could do whatever, and then you end. You basically usually branch off those two kind of ways. And you use these different maqams, like I found that like the maqams are there for me to get from point G to M. I use one of these as like a portal to get to the other one, because you can't jump from one melody to. It may sound awkward, like, oh, how'd you just? So you'd use. So I'll show you guys. Like I was humming it earlier today, so I could show it, tell you guys how I do. I would present it like Hijaz, like. So Hijaz. Now if I wanted to like, I'm gonna just wing it. So now I'm still in Hijaz. Still in Hijaz. So now I can't. I'm trying to find a way to get out of it. Because I mean, maybe if I spend time studying this stuff, but that's the thing. I don't wish to do that. Maybe it's easier while reciting. So let's see. But I'll get to that later. Let's go through all of them. Yeah. Go ahead.
Is there, do you prioritize using different maqamat in one recitation, or would you prioritize hitting the jawab or one?
If it's a slow recitation, some say, oh, you need to complete the maqam by hitting each one. I think that's more of a taste. It depends what you're doing. If it's a competition, you very likely have to do that. If it's in front of people, if it's a presentation, like you don't have to. You quickly, like sometimes you just come into it, like like a pivot in the basketball or something. You're like, and then quickly so you don't have to. If it's like a faster recitation, I usually just stick to one, because I'm just more comfortable. Like I just, yeah, makes sense. So let's start. So I'll recite like a few verses instead of the whole chapter. But Bayati, I'll start slow. The slow version, then the fast one. So Bismillah, and the basmala is always in bayat. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. I'm gonna just go up. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. It's not, I keep trying to go up to hit the high, but this is all bayat. Now, if I were to do in a slower one, I don't usually recite bayat. I mean, in the faster one. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. So this is all bayat in the faster one. Now I don't expect you guys to get it, but maybe you do. We'll move to the next one, but at least paint the picture. So it's bayat. Now let's do rast. So Rasta is very easy. It's like your home base in a sense. Yeah, it's very easy to, because you don't have to. Yeah, usually this is maqam recited in prayer, like in Masjid al-Haram at least. I can't. But slower, right? In the slow recitation. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين Anyways, so fast one. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So that's Rast. Now, if I go back to the slower one, and I'm trying to do, I want to hit a high note. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد. So this ending, there's another maqam in there. I can't tell you which one right now, but it's not pure like Rust. It's like it's hitting. It takes another color from a different maqam basically and mixes it. But the ending. So now I could. Let me continue. إياك نعبد. I could take this and convert it into a different and end somewhere else. So this is where you get to like plug in a different maqam. Sometimes you start one maqam and then the same maqam, but in the belly of it you put something else in, but it complements it, so you could easily go back to it. Like something I recently been starting doing, reciting like okay, I'll do when I get to that maqam. But so that was Rast. Now let's do Hijaz, which is often given adhan, for example. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين let's go higher. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So ending became something else. And Nahawan. So I'm now, and when you're doing a fast recitation, so here's the other thing. Your speed of recitation, the faster it is, the less mental gymnastics you have to do to figure out the melody. Oh, how am I going to go to the different one? Because it's moving at a faster pace, and it's easier to not get lost in the melody. Because it's easy to get lost, and you're trying to find your way out, and it's no one else knows except you, because it's like you're trying to process it. So that was Hijaz. Sabah, very sad. No, so Iraq is, I think, Bayati Hussaini. Yeah, it's a mixture.
The one that gives the Messiah.
Messiah is different. Yeah, I think they call Tor Iraqi thing, Tor something. Yeah. It's like a combination Bayati and another maqam. I can't remember. Dashti, that's what it's called. Yeah. Bayati is very, very broad. They'll call maqam like Bayati Dashti because the beginning is Bayati but the ending is something else, and then that's what they call it. The Bayati Hussaini, Bayati Dashti, so it's like a mixture. There's Suznak, that's another one. What does that consist of? I couldn't tell you because again, there's 49 different ones. So Sabah, so الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So that's Sabah. Sad, it's again verses of sadness and hell and punishment. Next we have Sikka or Siga. I don't recite this much often, but it's very playful in the sense that and some of these maqams really play and like tug at your heartstrings and can really I don't want to say hype, but there's this. It's like, yeah, I guess that's the word that comes to mind. But so let's do a slow recitation. And usually this maqam you enter from Rust. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And usually these beginning. It's like you're setting the stage. You start with the maqam, you're setting the stage before you hit the high note. Malik, alhamdulillah alameen, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki yawmiddin. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So that's Sikha. And Nahawand. I love this maqam. This maqam is it's really really a beautiful one. So slow recitation. Like a segment I usually recite, I'll switch it up. In Surah Insan, يوفون بالنذر يوفون بالنذر ويخافون يوما كان شره مستطيرا. Usually ends like this. ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا. Another corner of it. ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا. So on the Hawand. Now if I were to hit the high note, I'll try to. My voice is kind of gone, but we'll see how this goes. So I'm gonna do it just on the Hawand, and I'll do one where I stick something else in the belly of it. So ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله. So that was on the Hawand. Now let's put something else in it. I'll see who. ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إنما نطعمكم. You get the rest. So in between Miskina wa Yatima wa Asira, I went to a different maqam. Charga or Ajam or a sweet, a more happy. Why? Because I am happy that the three groups of people came to the door of the Ahlul Bayt and Ahlul Bayt gave them. That's something to praise. And that's how I wish to relay that, interpret that to my people sitting and listening. So it's that's what I'm saying. It's very versatile, and you can do things like that to relay the meaning. That's what it is. When you're reciting the Quran, you want to relay the meaning as much as you can with your voice and melody to the people sitting. So that was Nahawan and with some Jaharka, and the final maqam Jaharka or Charga in Farsi. It's a very sweet, and I love reciting in this because it's just happy. Usually I recite like when I recite at weddings at Surah Rum, I recite the verses in Surah in this because it's a happy occasion and blah blah blah. But a slow recitation. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. No, that's fast. Sorry. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد. So fast. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So that's the fast version of that maqam. What else? So, yeah, now you mix these and then you have fun with them, basically. But I'm trying to think. I gave you guys some examples of how you mix them, but I'm just maybe I'm gonna just recite and see. I'll ad hoc try to change maqams in the fast recitation, and I'll stop it and I'll see who picked it up, or just to go through it.
Really, really quick, sorry.
Yeah.
If you're completely new to this, right? And you just want, so what's the easiest maqam to start with? You think that if you just like you got the pronunciation down now, you
Rust.
Rust?
Yeah.
So that would kind of be like the one you recommend for.
Yeah, it's the most simple and like Alhamdulillah. And this is what you want to do. Slow melody, like just listen to something and pull the melody like Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. It's going back and forth and between Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahmanir Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. So it's you try to simplify it as much as and you may have to listen a bit to pull it, but that's another thing. I know someone raised their hand, but I wanna. The other thing, sometimes you use melodies. Again, I was saying earlier to relay the meaning. Now, what something else reciters do is they will purposely leave the melody incomplete in the middle of the verse because they'll recite just, let's say the verse is 2 lines, or recite maybe a quarter of the line, and the melody will also be incomplete because that's trying to say we're not there yet. The verse is not complete. Like, for like something I sometimes do for Nahawand. You like I did earlier. Yufuna bin nadhr. Well, actually, let me show you guys what's complete and what's not complete. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ. That's not compared to وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ. You guys see the difference? It's like I'm cutting it, I'm chopping in half because I'm trying to tell you something with the meaning. I haven't finished the verse, so why would I complete the melody? It's like another mechanism, another way to relay the meaning. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, and then you complete it. So it's a good reciter leaves the audience perplexed as to what he's going to do next. If you're too predictable, it's nothing wrong with you. But I'm going really in depth. But like a good reciter, or a reciter, not good reciter, a reciter with like excellent master of maqamat, he leaves you in like suspense. Think of it, you're thinking what he's going to do next, and then he just catches you off guard. So it's and this is really, again, ideally, like, yeah. So this is just another way melodies are used to relay the meaning of the Quran. Question anyone had earlier? Yes. Yeah. You can, but you could, it's so interchangeable, but yes, you can. For example, the end verses of Surah Baqarah, with the du'as that we have, you could do all in Hawand or Hijaz, yeah, and verses about description of paradise in a sweet melody. So yeah, you certainly can. That's one way to like categorize, and you could use that as a tool, learning tool. Sure, yeah, yeah. Does that answer your question? You guys can pick which one. Oh, yeah. You could you could use any maqam for any verse, for the most part, except you just wouldn't recite a sad verses about Jahannam with a happy melody. Otherwise, it's kind of like I'll say, like when I recite Quran to complete my juz, I usually do all of it in Nahawand, because it's the one melody I'm kind of, it's my base. It's like I just keep going back to it. So you could, yeah. The last melody, yeah, Jaharka, yeah, or Jaharka or Ajam, both of these, yeah. Um, they're like corners of each other. They're very close to each other. Yeah.
So, sorry.
Yeah, go. Yeah, you had your hand. That's why.
So sometimes some of the melodies, I don't know, I think this is going back to that musical theory thing
Yeah.
you said at the beginning. They sound like all the same, like in the beginning. So like when you were learning the melodies, like how, if you don't have that acute musical ear, how do you kind of like work on differentiating that?
Just gotta listen and practice. That's the only thing you can do. Keep until it becomes muscle memory. Like for example, the beginning of this maqam could go either way. Could go either way. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The beginning, 50% of the beginning was like, where's it gonna go? Sikka or charga or jaharka. So it's like, it takes a lot of time, but listening, that's what I'm saying. If you listen to, like you find a 15-minute recitation, you can listen, you keep the mushaf in front of you, and you see what he's doing, the reciter as he's moving through, and where does he stop, where does he begin, and what happens to the melodies. So, does that answer your question? Yeah. Yes. You can. Pitch is used as well to relay meaning. And again, if you're doing it, like if you're reciting on your own, like I wouldn't. I'm reciting to finish the juz, for example. If you're in front of people and you're trying, it's a presentation recitation where you're reciting in a gathering and you're reciting to the people. Yeah, you can, like there's the verse, the second to last page of Surah Imran, like ربنا آتنا ولا like إنك لا I think إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. The day of judgment, you lower your voice, it's like you're telling a stern warning, and you use your lower voice. Yes, you certainly can. Like sometimes some reciters, like they'll raise their voice when they recite a verse with like inna fi khalqi samawati wal ardi. Sama, the heavens, the skies, they raise their voice. Wal ardi, earth, because earth is we're in earth and it's lower compared to the heavens. That's one way. So you lower your voice, that's one way of doing it. And there's many deflections in a way. Like one reciter, for example, actually, there's a few, but Mustafa Ismail, Muhammad Imran, in one verse, they'll go up and down a few times. And when I say up and down, not in the jawab, or in the upper levels of the maqam, more like in tone. So, like, for example, إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه. So it's like I think it was a rubber band. You're like playing with it and trying to. The more it's now again this it's when you're doing this in a slow recitation, there's more melody you have to contain and keep track of in a way, because then it could easily like you lose the melody and then you sound off tune. So experience helps with that. Bayati is a good place because it's pretty versatile and is very vast. But there's no such thing as universal, I'd say. You recite whatever you feel. But I'd say Bayati covers most things. Yeah.
Which would you prioritize, tajweed, or would you prioritize like learning how to actually pronounce each of the letters and the actual tajweed of the Quran, or would you prioritize the two?
You want to answer that question for me? Tajweed. If you were saying the Quran improperly, who cares if you sound good or if you can wow the crowd because your melody prowess, so your mastery is like, who cares? Number one thing is to recite the Quran correctly. The letters, huruf, makharij, it's coming, the letters are emerging from your, all this correctly, and you're adhering to the tajweed rules, ahkam. If you're not doing that, then there's many out there, both in the social media world as well as even those who lead prayer. Like I had who's heard of Sudais? I listened to the first time live. It was Isha prayer, so I wasn't praying because I had prayed already. I'm like, we're walking. I'm like, oh, that's Sudais. I had an Egyptian mentor that used to tell me, he's like some. He said Sudais' name. This is like 15 years ago. He's like, they recite and they and this is like a Hijazi thing. And like they recite is like mu'minun. Sometimes mu'minun. They open their mouth wide and it's like it's no longer mu'minun. Should always the dhamma, like an arrow, noon, not mu'minun, and then next verse. So it's like these little things, and most people won't pick up on them, but it's wrong. And it's like, oh, and 15 years younger me, I was like, oh, interesting. And I wouldn't listen to like Hijazi reciters. So that's the other thing. And I know we're not talking about tajweed, but you want to listen to reciters who have perfected the tajweed, like Khalil Hussaini, Minshawi. You're Egyptian, and even Egyptians once have accents, by the way. Mittawali Abdul Al, like he has he comes from a different region of Egypt, and his recitation is different. But you don't listen to Mittawali for tajweed. You listen to enjoy recitation. So that's the thing. So tajweed will always and recite and correct pronunciation will always come number one. Then. Even like in competitions, the most points that a category has is tajweed. Like usually, like in Iran's competition, for example, tajweed is out of 100 points, 25 to 30, I think, is tajweed, and then waqf and ibtida, which is where you stop, where you start. There's 10. Melody and voice, but tajweed, and even other competitions, like I've heard in other ones, tajweed is like 50 or 45, because it's like if you're not adhering to those rules, then The rest is you're just beautifying your recitation. It's all like icing on the cake. If the cake is, I don't want to say rotten, but if it is, huh? Raw. Okay, I like that better. Raw, not cooked. What kind of cake is raw, not cooked? Half baked, flour ones, right? I like tiramisu. Anyways, just put it in the fridge. That's it. Lady fingers. Yes. To enjoy and listen to, or for learning purposes. Yeah. No. Um, huh? For slower recitation, there's no. I'm trying to think. There's an Iranian reciter who recorded the whole Quran. It's like 30 years old, but it's one of the best. No. No. I was supposed to, but then the project didn't go on. Inshallah, one day. I can't think of his name. Thank you so much. Inshallah. If you go to there's a website that has it, I'll find it for you. But for slower recitations, Tanzil la Nat, but I'm trying to find the name of the reciter that will, one second. For slower recitations, I mean, you have Hamid Shakir Najad, you have Hadis Fidani, you have Osam al-Karbadai, he's the reciter for the Haram of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, which I really enjoy. Sayyid Jawad Hussaini, Hamid Ali Zada, yeah. Sheikh Maitham Tammar. There's a bunch. Abdul Kabir Haydari, he's Afghan, and he actually studied in Al-Azhar, but he's a Shia. Yeah. Let me find the other one for you. Kareem Mansouri, sure, yes. Oh, they changed their interface. Abdul Kabir has the whole Quran recorded, by the way, but Parhizgar, that's the Iranian one. Parhizgar. His recitation is very powerful, and that's the whole Quran, like fast or tadweer. So yeah, that's no problem. Any other questions? Just Parhizgar. The other ones you can find on YouTube. But Tanzil has like the whole Quran, so you could play and the rest of them, the whole Quran as in to follow along with. Any other questions? Shams? Slow? I can't do slow. Voice is gone. Actually, I'll do surah. Sure. I will do. I'll do a fast one because I can't. See, so sometimes when my voice is gone, I will. I mean, it's not gone. It's just so when your voice is tired, like right now, you can't. You don't have the same flexibility in moving between melodies and playing with your voice. It's like blunt. The sword is blunt, and you can't cut through, and so it's like a car with tires that are like basically flat tires, and you're trying to race. It doesn't work. So and then that's when I'll recite the faster recitation, because it's much less noticeable to people. And as a reciter, you're always more critical of yourself and that sort of thing. So I'll recite Surah Naba in honor of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون. كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون. ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا. إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا. يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا. إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا. لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا. إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا. فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا. لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا. جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا. رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا. يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا. ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا. إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد. How many maqams did I go there? 3. Keep going. So the beginning, I actually, no, it's actually, I think like I'll be honest, I don't know what maqam it is. I've been this is, huh, this is a reciter from Qatar which I really like, and he recites this way. It's actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's more closer to Bayati, because it's an offshoot of an Iraqi Iraqi style recitation. Let me عما يتساءلون So it's Bayati, and then to a little bit of Saba, and then Rust. Any follow-up questions? Thank you. Sorry guys, it's been a long night. وإياكم. اللهم صل على